Every high-value woman has one thing in common. She doesn't need to speak to be respected. Her silence is her boundary. Her stillness is her magnet. And the man who's meant for her feels it. You don't become a high-value woman by talking louder. You become one by learning when silence says more. It's not about being cold. It's about being composed. It's not about withholding love. It's about knowing who's earned access to it. Maybe you've noticed it too. The more you explain, the less you're heard. The more you give, the more they expect. So you stop, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You stop proving and start embodying. You stop explaining and start elevating. Hi, it's Vernon, and today I'm sharing 7 silent actions that don't just make men value you, they make you step into your highest self. These actions are drawn from ancient wisdom, stoic feminine psychology, and the kind of presence that redefines your worth without saying a word. If this message stirs something in you, honor it. Give it a like, share it with someone who's ready to rise, and subscribe to walk deeper into this kind of quiet strength. Let's begin with the first silent action and see how it shifts everything. 1. Master the power of still presence. In a world obsessed with attention, the woman who doesn't chase it becomes the most captivating. Presence is not just energy, it's emotional truth made visible. The moment you walk into a room without saying a word, your history, your confidence, your boundaries all speak on your behalf. If your presence is fragmented, people will overlook you. But when it's centered, calm, unshaken, rooted in quiet knowing, it has the weight of gravity. You don't just walk in, you arrive. That kind of presence doesn't demand attention, it reorients the room. Stillness, not stiffness, is what radiates power. The kind of stillness that comes from knowing who you are and not needing anyone to validate it. In Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do." This is not about silence as avoidance, it's silence as intent. You move slower, you speak less, you observe more. This quiet power disrupts the dynamic, because most people don't know how to respond to a woman who doesn't perform. Want to shift the energy around a man? Don't match his excitement. Ground it. Hold your gaze. Let your energy speak before your mouth does. Research in nonverbal psychology shows that calm body language, upright posture, intentional gestures, relaxed shoulders, significantly increases how trustworthy, attractive, and competent you appear. Next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, just pause, breathe. Remind yourself you don't need to chase what's already yours. That's your magnet. Now imagine this. What if your calm presence wasn't just magnetic, but untouchable? What if you could hold your ground, not just in silence, but in storms? When you pair stillness with emotional discipline, you don't just attract respect, you train the world how to treat you. And that's exactly what the next point reveals. 2. Emotional discipline is the new elegance. I've seen a lot in my life, but the strongest woman I've ever known, she lives with me, my wife. She doesn't react when disrespected. She recalibrates. She doesn't raise her voice. She raises her standards. When people try to pull her into chaos, she chooses clarity. And that clarity changes the temperature in the room. There was a time when I disappointed her. I won't go into detail. But she didn't argue. She didn't attack. She looked me in the eyes and simply said, "I trust you'll do what a man is supposed to do." And then she walked away. That moment changed me more than any fight could have, because her silence wasn't weakness, it was discipline, it was dignity, it was the quiet voice of self-respect. This kind of emotional mastery, where you feel everything but choose your response with grace, is rare, but it's magnetic. Men remember it, they feel it. Psychologists call this affect labeling, the ability to recognize what you're feeling, name it inwardly, and choose your response instead of reacting. It's not about bottling emotions or pretending to be fine. It's about standing at the center of the storm and saying, "I see this, I feel this, but I will not be ruled by it." That's not suppression, that's sovereignty. Emotional discipline isn't about being numb, it's about being in charge. And in a world where emotional overreaction is normalized, a woman who holds her emotional line with grace becomes unforgettable. And when a woman shows that level of control, a man knows he can't play games here. So the next time your emotions rise, don't suppress them, but don't hand them over either. Breathe. Feel, then decide who deserves to see your fire and who only gets your calm. Let me ask you something. When you enter a space, your home, your routine, even your silence, does it reflect your worth or beg for it? The spaces you keep and the energy you allow within them quietly teach others how to treat you. No explanation needed. That's the quiet power we'll explore in the next section. 3. Guard your space like sacred ground. Every woman carries a certain atmosphere, like a fragrance or the hush of a well-kept library. Your space, both physical and emotional, isn't just a reflection of who you are. It's a container for your energy. When you let in chaos, you dilute your essence. When you allow access too easily, you teach others to treat you casually. But when your space is intentional, curated, calm, selective, you become unforgettable. Think of your emotional energy like fine wine. You don't pour it for everyone who walks by. You share it with those who have the patience to sit, taste, appreciate. A high-value woman treats her time, her silence, her peace like precious currency. She doesn't over-explain when someone crosses a line. She simply creates distance. No drama, no declaration, just a shift. Even the physical spaces she keeps, her home, her desk, her daily rituals, carry quiet intention. They speak in subtleties, the way she arranges a corner, the stillness of her morning, the order she returns to at the end of each day. These aren't just habits, they're boundaries in disguise. They say, without a word, this is a woman who curates her world, not to impress, but to protect what matters. She doesn't just live in her space, she defines it. And through that definition, she teaches others how to honor it. If this is resonating with you, now's a good moment to tap save on this video. Keep it close as a reminder, because this one shift in how you guard your space can silently change the way others treat you. Your space is your standard. Not everyone earns entry. And the quieter you enforce that, the louder the message becomes. Let's take a moment to reflect. What does your body say when your mouth stays silent? Because often the truth of who you are leaks out in gestures, posture, even the way you hold eye contact. It's subtle, but powerful. And in many cases, it speaks louder than anything you could say out loud. That brings us to the next point, a shift so small, yet so transformative in how men perceive you without a single word spoken. 4. Speak through posture, not pressure. I remember watching an elderly woman walk into a crowded cafe. Nothing flashy about her, no makeup, no big gestures. But the entire room seemed to slow down. She moved with ease, looked ahead without hesitation, and sat like she had nothing to prove. That was presence. The French philosopher Blaise Pascal once wrote, "The soul is shown through the posture of the body," and he was right, because posture is more than how you stand. It's how you carry your story. Long before a man hears your voice, he's already heard your silence, your stillness, your sense of self. Do you shrink to be accepted, or stand as if nothing about you needs permission? Your posture isn't decoration, it's declaration. It tells the world whether you've accepted yourself. And in a world where women are often taught to shrink, a woman who chooses to stand becomes her own kind of revolution. That's where your quiet power begins. Posture is the body's quiet philosophy. A woman who walks slowly, stands tall, and looks you in the eye. She tells the world, "I belong here. I take up space with purpose." You don't need high heels or designer labels to be magnetic. You need to be aligned with yourself, with your breath, with the room. You need to move like someone who has nothing to prove. When your body stops apologizing, when you no longer shrink to fit in or rush to earn your place, something shifts. You begin to speak through stillness. The room listens even before you speak. Men notice not because you demand attention, but because your energy declares, "I belong here." In a world filled with noise and nervous movement, the calm woman becomes the contrast. She is not easily moved. She is not seeking approval. And in that quiet confidence, there's something sacred, the kind of presence that lingers long after she's gone. So the next time you walk into a room, don't just enter it, arrive in it. Pause gently at the doorway, not because you doubt, but because you remember. Remember who you are and what you carry. Feel the ground beneath your feet, not just as a surface, but as something sacred, a quiet agreement between you and the world that says, I'm allowed to take up space here. Roll your shoulders back like you're brushing off the weight of needing to impress. Let your gaze soften, not to avoid, but to invite stillness. You'll begin to notice that when your energy shifts inward, the world around you adjusts in response. Not because you asked, but because you owned the space within. This silent posture tells the truth that you are whole, whether they see it or not. And the men who are meant for you will feel it before they understand it. Let's linger on this thought. What truly draws someone in? Loudness or presence? Performance or peace? The difference is quiet but profound. Because while many seek attention, only a few invite devotion, and the ones who do often say the least. That takes us to the next silent action. The one that reshapes not how you're seen, but how you're remembered. 5. Let mystery do the work. There's something deeply powerful about what's not said, about what's withheld with intention. In a culture where everything is overshared and constantly explained, a woman who keeps parts of herself quietly guarded becomes magnetic. Mystery is not manipulation. It's the art of being fully present while not being fully available. It's allowing someone to wonder, to earn access to the deeper layers of who you are, instead of giving it away too soon. When you don't feel the need to overshare your plans, your past, or your pain, you become unforgettable. Why? Because mystery invites the imagination. And a man's imagination is far more powerful than any story you could tell him outright. This isn't about being aloof, it's about being rooted. Silence, when it comes from clarity, isn't emptiness, it's fullness held with care. There is power in not rushing to explain yourself, in allowing space to be a filter. The ones who are ready will lean in. The ones who aren't, they were never meant to stay. Mystery doesn't push people away. It reveals who's willing to come closer with depth and who only knew how to listen to noise. Let them lean in. Let them earn the privilege of knowing you. And if this part resonates with you, I'd love to hear, has mystery ever worked in your favor? Has silence ever revealed the truth? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might just help another woman reclaim her power. A woman who knows how to hold herself in mystery not only attracts interest, she commands respect. And sometimes, the most unforgettable connection begins not with words, but with a question that lingers long after you've walked away. Now let's move into the next point, one that requires no effort, only integrity. And it's often the one that separates the admired from the truly cherished. 6. Let your standards speak for you. There's a quiet kind of power that doesn't shout, doesn't argue, doesn't justify. It simply lives. It's the kind of power that comes from a woman whose standards are not rules she imposes on others, but values she embodies without compromise.
You don't need to explain what you expect when it's woven into the way you live, the way you respond to inconsistency, the way you remove yourself from disrespect, the way you uphold grace even when others drop theirs. In a world that often rewards adaptability over authenticity, a woman who holds her ground with quiet certainty becomes a presence you cannot ignore. Her integrity isn't a performance, it's the invisible thread that runs through her choices, her energy, her limits. These aren't rigid demands, they're quiet agreements she's made with herself about what she will and will not allow. And that's the difference. She doesn't force people to respect her boundaries, she simply lives them. In doing so, she teaches the world that her self-worth is not negotiable. When you stop tolerating what drains you, you stop attracting those who bring it. That shift, invisible to many, becomes undeniable to the right man. This isn't about perfection. It's about congruence. Who you are inside and how you move outside must match. And when they do, there's no need to convince anyone of your value. Your alignment does the talking. Take a moment to think. Is there a silent standard you've always lived by that changed how others treat you? Share it in the comments below. It might quietly guide someone else forward. Now we come to the final and most transformative shift, one that doesn't just change how men see you, but how you see yourself. 7. Let your growth speak louder than your words. There comes a point in every woman's journey where silence is no longer just a boundary. It becomes a form of self-respect, of choosing growth over validation. You stop announcing your transformation. You stop explaining your healing. Instead, you embody it quietly, daily, and powerfully. True growth doesn't announce itself. It whispers through who you've become when no one's watching. It lives in the pause before a reaction, in the restraint that once felt impossible, in the quiet peace you now protect like sacred ground. Growth is seen not in how much louder you speak, but in how much softer your presence feels. Not because you've shrunk, but because everything that once felt scattered has come home to center. That's what completeness really is. Not perfection, but integration. When a woman evolves without needing to prove it, she becomes magnetic in the most unexpected ways. The man who sees her doesn't just see a woman, he sees a path toward stillness, toward maturity, toward depth. This final silent action is about living so aligned with your inner truth that even if you say nothing at all, people feel the difference. Because when your energy becomes your evidence, you don't chase worth, you embody it. Tell me this. What's one part of yourself you've reclaimed quietly without needing the world to notice? Leave it in the comments. You never know who you might inspire. So what we've explored today is not a checklist to impress a man. It's a deeper invitation to return to yourself. Every silent action we've uncovered is less about external approval and more about internal alignment. This isn't about withholding love or playing games. It's about becoming so rooted in your truth, so composed in your presence, that others have no choice but to rise or fall away. You don't need to convince anyone of your value.
You need only live it, quietly, consistently, with grace. Because in a world that rewards noise, your stillness will feel like a revolution. And the man who's ready, truly ready, won't just notice you, he'll recognize you. If this message spoke to something in you, let it linger, reflect on it, re-watch it, and if it brought you clarity, strength, or peace, please like this video, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to continue walking this path of quiet power with me. Until next time, stay rooted, stay radiant, stay whole. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching my video.